August 31st, 1986. A typical Sunday in Southern California. The sun shone brightly, the air was warm, families prepared for barbecues, children played in parks. But at 11:52 a.m. this peaceful scene was shattered. A tragedy unfolded in the skies above Cerritos, forever changing the lives of countless people. Aeroméxico Flight 498, a DC-9 jetliner, collided with a small Piper Archer. The impact sent shockwaves through the community and beyond. This is the story of that fateful day. Aeroméxico Flight 498 was no ordinary flight. It carried dreams, hopes, and the anticipation of reunions. 64 passengers and 6 crew members were on board, families returning from vacations, businessmen on their way to important meetings, a young boy excited to see his father in Los Angeles. They had boarded the plane in Tijuana, Mexico, their destination Los Angeles International Airport. The mood on the plane was light. Passengers chatted with their seatmates. Some read books, others simply gazed out the window, lost in thought. The flight crew prepared for the final descent. Everything seemed normal. Fate, however, had other plans. At the same time, a Piper PA-28 Archer took off from Torrance Airport. On board were a pilot, his wife, and their young daughter. They were headed for a day trip to Big Bear City, a scenic mountain resort town. The family was excited to escape the city for a day of fun and relaxation. The pilot, an experienced aviator, skillfully guided the small plane into the clear blue sky. He had no idea that his flight path would intersect with the much larger DC-9. The stage was set for a disaster. High above Cerritos, the DC-9 began its final descent into LAX. The pilots, experienced and highly trained, followed the instructions of air traffic control. They were unaware of the danger lurking nearby. The Piper Archer, flying under visual flight rules, was not visible on the radar screens of air traffic control. A crucial piece of equipment, a transponder, was not working. This meant the small plane was essentially invisible to other aircraft. The pilot of the Piper, unaware of the approaching DC-9, continued his climb towards Big Bear City. The two planes, one large and filled with passengers, the other small and carrying a family on a day trip, were on a collision course. Section 5. Impact. At 11:52 a.m., the unthinkable happened. The Piper Archer, ascending through the clear sky, clipped the left horizontal stabilizer of the DC-9 with its right wing. The impact was catastrophic. The smaller plane, instantly torn apart by the force of the collision, rained debris down on the unsuspecting community below. The DC-9, its tail section severely damaged, spiraled out of control. Inside the cabin, terror gripped the passengers and crew. Oxygen masks dropped from the ceiling. The plane, no longer responding to the pilot's desperate attempts to regain control, plunged towards the ground. Section 6. Scars of loss. The DC-9 crashed into a residential neighborhood in Cerritos with terrifying force. The impact created a massive fireball, engulfing homes and cars in flames. The sound of the crash was deafening, heard for miles around. A plume of thick black smoke rose into the sky, a grim beacon of the tragedy that had unfolded. Emergency responders rushed to the scene, but the devastation was overwhelming. The crash claimed the lives of all 67 people on board both planes, as well as 15 people on the ground. Homes were reduced to rubble. Cars were incinerated. The streets were littered with debris. The once peaceful neighborhood was now a scene of unimaginable horror. Section 7. Unraveling the tragedy. The crash of Aeroméxico Flight 498 sent shockwaves through the aviation world and beyond. It was a clear, sunny day when the unthinkable happened. The skies were busy, filled with the hum of engines and the promise of safe travels. But in an instant, that promise was shattered. How could such a horrific accident happen in the skies above one of the busiest cities in the world? Los Angeles, a city known for its bustling airports and constant air traffic, became the backdrop for this tragic event. The collision was not just a failure of machinery, but a catastrophic breakdown in communication and human error. The National Transportation Safety Board, or NTSB, launched a full-scale investigation. Their mission was clear: to uncover the truth and prevent such a disaster from ever happening again. The team was composed of seasoned experts, each bringing their unique skills to the table. Investigators pored over the wreckage, trying to piece together the events that led to the disaster. Every piece of debris, no matter how small, was a potential clue. They meticulously cataloged the wreckage, hoping to find answers hidden within the twisted metal and charred remains. They interviewed witnesses, examined radar data, and listened to cockpit voice recordings. Each piece of evidence was a part of a larger puzzle. Witnesses provided first-hand accounts of the moments leading up to the crash, while radar data and voice recordings offered a technical perspective. Their findings were both shocking and sobering. The investigation revealed a series of errors and oversights that, when combined, led to the tragic collision. It was a stark reminder of the importance of vigilance and precision in aviation. The NTSB determined that the primary cause of the accident was the failure of the Piper Archer pilot to see and avoid the DC-9. The pilot, flying a small private plane, had inadvertently entered a busy airspace without proper clearance. He had strayed into airspace reserved for commercial aircraft. This critical mistake set off a chain of events that culminated in the deadly collision. The airspace around major airports is tightly controlled for a reason, and this incident highlighted the dangers of violating those boundaries. His lack of a functioning transponder contributed to the tragedy. Without a working transponder, the small plane was essentially invisible to air traffic controllers. This technological failure compounded the human errors already in play. Air traffic controllers, overwhelmed with traffic that morning, did not see the Piper Archer on their radar screens. The controllers were managing a high volume of flights, and the absence of the Piper Archer's signal on their radar added to the chaos. This tragic event underscored the need for improved technology and better training for those who guide our skies. Section 8. A Safer Sky. The Cerritos mid-air collision was a watershed moment in aviation history. On August 31, 1986, an Aeroméxico DC-9 collided with a Piper PA-28 over Cerritos, California, resulting in the tragic loss of 82 lives. This catastrophic event shook the aviation community and the general public, bringing to light the vulnerabilities in the air traffic control system. It exposed critical flaws in the air traffic control system and highlighted the importance of vigilance, communication, and technology in preventing accidents. Air traffic controllers, who are the unseen heroes of the skies, were suddenly thrust into the spotlight. Their role in ensuring the safety of thousands of flights daily became a topic of intense scrutiny and discussion. In the wake of the tragedy, the Federal Aviation Administration, or FAA, implemented sweeping changes to improve air safety. The FAA, recognizing the urgent need for reform, embarked on a mission to overhaul the existing systems. This included not only technological upgrades, but also rigorous training programs for air traffic controllers and pilots. One of the most significant changes was the mandatory installation of traffic collision avoidance systems, or TCAS, in all commercial aircraft. TCAS represented a leap forward in aviation safety technology, providing an additional layer of security by enabling aircraft to communicate with each other directly. TCAS uses radar to detect nearby planes and provides pilots with visual and audible warnings of potential collisions, giving them time to take evasive action. The system has been credited with preventing numerous potential mid-air collisions since its implementation, making the skies significantly safer for both passengers and crew. The FAA also made it mandatory for all aircraft operating in busy airspace to have functioning transponders. These transponders emit signals that are picked up by radar systems, allowing air traffic controllers to track the position and altitude of aircraft with greater accuracy. This ensured that all aircraft, regardless of size, would be visible to air traffic controllers. The combination of TCAS and mandatory transponders has created a robust framework for collision avoidance, significantly reducing the risk of mid-air collisions and enhancing overall air traffic management. The lessons learned from the Cerritos disaster have paved the way for a safer and more reliable aviation industry, ensuring that such a tragedy is less likely to occur in the future. Section 9. Never forget. The Cerritos mid-air collision serves as a stark reminder of the importance of learning from tragedy. On August 31, 1986, an Aeroméxico DC-9 collided with a Piper PA-28 over the skies of Cerritos, California. The impact was catastrophic, claiming the lives of 67 people on board both aircraft and 15 on the ground. The tragedy sent shockwaves through the community and the aviation industry, highlighting the critical need for improved air traffic control and safety measures. The lives lost that day will never be forgotten. Families and friends of the victims gather every year to honor their memory, holding candlelight vigils and sharing stories of their loved ones. These moments of remembrance are filled with both sorrow and a sense of unity as the community comes together to support one another. Their memory lives on in the hearts of their loved ones and in the countless safety improvements that have made the skies safer for everyone. In the aftermath of the collision, significant changes were implemented in aviation safety protocols. Enhanced radar systems, stricter air traffic control regulations, and improved pilot training programs were introduced to prevent such a disaster from happening again. The legacy of the disaster is not just one of loss, but also of resilience, reform, and a renewed commitment to ensuring that such a tragedy never happens again. Emergency response teams have undergone rigorous training to handle similar situations more effectively, and aviation reform meetings continue to address and update safety measures. The community's resilience is evident in their ongoing efforts to advocate for safer skies. The skies above Cerritos are once again filled with the sounds of planes, a testament to the advancements in aviation safety. The bustling activity at airports and the sight of planes flying overhead are reminders of the progress made since that tragic day. But the memory of that fateful day in 1986 serves as a constant reminder of the importance of vigilance and the fragility of life. As we look to the future, we must never forget the lessons learned from the past. The Cerritos mid-air collision stands as a solemn reminder that safety must always be our top priority and that the lives lost will forever be remembered.